I suggest that you start memorizing this because this is a part of your rite of passage. Lahat ng estudyante ng BS Criminology ay memorize ang Law Enforcement Code of Ethics. So, I suggest you download or have this photocopy, screenshot this one, and start memorizing this one. Kahit hindi tayo nakikita in personal and face-to-face, I encourage you to memorize and put this one into practice as early as now. Kahit hindi pa kayo police, still you are encouraged to live a life with this Law Enforcement Code of Ethics as your guiding post. Law Enforcement Code of Ethics. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve the community or mankind, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all men to liberty, equality, and justice. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all, and will behave in a manner that does not bring discredit to me or to my agency. I will maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule. Develop self-restraint and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life. I will be exemplary in obeying the laws and the regulations of my department. Whatever I see or hear of a confidential nature, or that is confided to me in my official capacity, will be kept ever secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, political beliefs, aspirations, animosities, or friendship to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime and with relentless persecution of criminals. I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without fear or favor, malice or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities in return. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of police service. I will never engage in acts of corruption or bribery, nor will I condone such acts by other police officers. I will cooperate with all legally authorized agencies and their representatives in the pursuit of justice. I know that I alone am responsible for my own standard of professional performance and will take every reasonable opportunity to enhance and improve my level of knowledge and competence. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideals, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement. Again, kahit hindi pa kayo nasa serbisyo, kahit nangangarap pa kayo ngayon to enter the service of law enforcement, I encourage all of you to have this memorized, not only literally but also in your heart, so that pagdating ng araw when you are given the chance to serve the public, then may malalim na kayong pagkakaintindi kung ano ba yung ethics, kung ano ba yung dapat gagawin pag nandun ka na. So let's talk about this code of ethics of law enforcement. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, or locally, to serve your community, our community. The gist of these passages contain two words: duty and service. Enforcement is not just our job. It involves sworn duty, panunumpa ng tungkulin. Progressive Police Department requires officers to reaffirm their oath each year to drive home the message the sworn oath contains, reminding them of the essential relationship between his job and the free society in which he lives. The word service denotes the denial of one's own pleasures and desire. Take note of that one. Pag nasa serbisyo ka, you are denying all pleasures and desires that you have when you are a civilian. Hindi naman lahat, but in some point, you have to deny yourself because you are now a public servant. Service involves dedication and sacrifice of the giving of oneself. The job requires special breed of man and woman. Sabi nga sa Biblia, di ba? Many are called, but few are chosen. Marami ang tinatawag, pero konti lang ang napipili. So, it is sad note that not all of you, hopefully no, but not all of you will become law enforcer someday. Just like us, your professors, your instructors, we also aspire in our time to become law enforcers. But God put us in our place right now, and that is because God wants us to be. So hindi tayo pwede lahat maging law enforcer. It only requires special breed of men and women. Professional law enforcement has no place for an officer with a philosophy of life that is what it is for me. So huwag kang pumasok sa law enforcement kung iniisip mo lang yung sarili mong kapakanan. Crook and dishonest officers find it increasingly more difficult to profit from his job in a material way. Reminder, people, ang pagkuha nyo sa kurso nyong criminology, PS Criminology, ay hindi nagsasaad, or it doesn't mean that you wanted to become millionaires when you become law enforcers. Ang inyong kurso nga gipili, dili pang dato. Kaya kung nagpili pa mo, kung gusto pa mo madato, kung gusto pa mo may milyonaryo, ito ang tamo sa BSBA, Business Management, or any other courses na pwede kang maging mayaman. But in our course, in this particular course, partly sacrifice is to become rich, famous, maybe, but to become rich is impossible. Not unless you become crook or dishonest police officer. So, since you are still second year, at ngayon nyo palang na-realize na hindi pala para maging mayaman ang subject, ang kurso na to, you are still encouraged to transfer to other course. Okay? That's a professional advice for you guys. But if you think that you are bound to become a public servant, you are bound to become or to serve the community, then so be it. Continue being a BS criminology student. Remember, work in law enforcement contain duty and service. To safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder. Sa democratic society just like ours, itong task na to ay mahirap. Protecting the rights of the individual also means protecting the rights of the criminal. It is a hard pill to swallow. Kumbaga, mas madali para sa mga officers natin to become bitter when he has continually witnessed the ends of justice thwarted by red tape, politics, and technicalities of the law. I'm sure you have that experience already na may nakita kang or may narinig kang story about this particular person, itong suspect na to, that everybody knows that he is the perpetrator of a crime, but at the end, the case was dismissed. Kasi may kaibigan sa court, or may kaibigan sa gobyerno, or pamangkin ni judge, or anak ni, or apo ni mayor, or the vice mayor, diba? May mga ganong uusap-usapan o istorya. At when you become aware of it, ikaw nga, hindi ka pa pulis nadidepress ka na. Diba? Nagagalit ka. Nagsalig ni mga tawhanan ni kay anak ni Kuan, apo ni Kuan. Nagsalig na siya, kaya naman na siya kailang nga pulis nga Kuan, ako kranggo. What more when you become police officer? What more if you are the one doing all the work, the hard work to arrest an offender or suspect, and yet at the end of the day, because of technicalities of the law or red tape politics, nadi-dismiss yung kaso. Diba? How would you feel? The more idealistic an officer is, the more he became frustrated. Pag medyo mataas yung expectation mo, medyo mataas yung ideals mo, you will become frustrated when you are on the job. I tell you guys. Why must a good policeman who work hard for the ends of justice see the product of his work crumble at his feet? Dalawang answer niyan. Meron tayong simple at complicated one. Sa simple answer, policeman works not with object. Do not forget on that. Iba naman kasi yung trabaho ng yung mga tradesmen, just like carpenter, di ba? Magaling yung carpenter, di ba? Kung ikaw yung carpentero, tapos may project ka na bahay, di ba? Pagkatapos ng project mo, tinitingnan mo yung product mo. You look at your product and you stand proud and you admiringly inspect the perfectness of your creation. Just like if you are an artist, diba? Tapos nakita mo na lang na yung ginawa mo pala nasira. Diba masakit yun? What more if you are a police officer? A policeman works not with object. I think, or at least yung mga tradesman, yung mga karpentero, pwede niyang gawin ulit. But a policeman cannot undo his work. One shot lang. Pwede man naman niyang gawin ulit, mag-file naman siya ng ulit ng kaso, kuha naman siya ulit ng evidence, but it will take a lot of time and effort again. And sometimes this time and efforts would become a frustration to a police officer. So again, a simple answer, policeman works not with objects, but with people. Complicated one. The most unpredictable of all commodities with which a person can work is man himself. Napakahirap. Mas mabuti pa yung nag-aalaga ka ng 50 or 60 na mga baka kaysa mag-alaga ka ng kaysa magmamanage ka ng 5 tao. And that's very true because you are dealing with a person, human being, which is sa lahat ng commodities, ang tao ang pinakamahirap. Pinakamahirap at saka unpredictable. It is the relationship of a policeman with the people that necessitates law enforcement to become a profession. Yung relasyon mo sa community with which you are serving necessitates law enforcement na maging profession. So basically it is public service. Public service talaga ang pagpupulis. The lesson is that the officer's satisfaction in law enforcement must come from doing their job to the best of their abilities and not be dependent upon the final outcome of the case. So, balik tayo doon. If you are an idealistic officer at nakita mo yung kaso mo na dismiss because of technicalities, because of politics, do not be frustrated. Huwag kang masaktan masyado. Ang isipin mo na lang is that you serve your community with using the best of your abilities. Kumbaga ginawa mo ng lahat. Kumalap ka ng ebidensya, nagkanda ka ng surveillance, nahuli mo yung suspect on the act, nag-file ka ng case sa court. On your end, nagawa mo na lahat ang dapat mong gawin. On your end, nagawa mo na lahat ang procedure, no? Ethically and following the procedure given to you by the department. The rest of that, hindi mo na control. The case is now in court, hindi mo na kontrolado yan. So kung ano man yung outcome ng kaso na yan, wala ka ng problema doon. As long as on your end, at your level, nagawa mo yung the best of your abilities. To respect the constitutional rights of all men, to liberty, equality, and justice. Respecting the rights of others is not one of man's natural qualities. Nature naman kasi sa atin na i-persecute or pagdudahan yung tao, kahit sino, especially pag iba sa atin, di ba? So, hindi siya, yung pagrespeto sa rights ng other people, hindi yan siya natural na kwalidad ng mga tao. There is no perfect justice on earth, nor will there ever be. Because man is not all-knowing, nor he is perfect. Ang natural sa tuwa, especially pag di takayla sa tao, we tend to suspect the person. Diba? We tend to think negatively to a particular person. Natural na siya because we are just human beings. We are not perfect also. We must strive for a form of justice representing ultimate capability in which involves great part of every person in the community and individual sacrifice as well. Prejudice to a group of persons is one of the greatest area of fault among police officers. Kaya nga, because of that suspectful qualities of us, we have prejudices. We prejudice people. Isa yan sa mga greatest fault ng tao, particularly ng isang police officer. This prejudice or prejudice could lead to a faulty conclusion that a member of a group may be guilty and soon lead to a general feelings of prejudice against all those who have been convicted of prior offense, and an almost subconscious refusal to accord them the same rights that the Constitution provides for all people. This is very true. sa mga kaso ng racism in the US. Pag may prejudice, ang isang police officer, pag may prejudice sa mga black people, yung mga African descent, pagkalahatan na yan, in general na, sasabihin na kaagad na pag black, makasalanan, o nakakamali, o palagi lang nakakamali. Diba? Same with in the Philippine setting, diba? Pag may pulis na nagkasala, sasabihin na kagad, pare-pareho lang kayo mga pulis. Pare-pareho lang kayo mga politiko corrupt. Diba? So, prejudice yan. Mga ganon. So, many officers feel that our system of jurisprudence is too lenient and help the criminal at the expense of society as a whole. So, karamihan sa mga pulis natin, guys, they would feel that itong batas natin ay para lang sa mga criminal. Hindi para sa society. Kasi nga, diba? Look at that. Meron pa nga tayong rights of an accused. Pero wala tayong rights of the victim or a victim. But if you try to look at it, lahat naman ng karapatan ay favor sa biktima. Kaso nga lang, meron tayong specification na may mga karapatan din itong mga criminal or mga suspects na to. Doon papasok yung ating prejudice, doon papasok yung ating suspectful qualities or manners. So, meron tayong mga solutions dyan. We have two alternatives actually. Alternative 1, law for good citizens and another for criminals. Gagawa tayo ng batas para sa mga good citizens only at saka isang batas naman para sa mga criminals only. Pero anong problema doon? The problem is that who would decide which person comes under which category? O sino magsasabi na, ikaw Talpolano, dito ka nabilong sa good citizens. Ikaw naman, Pedro, dito ka sa mga bad or sa mga criminals. Diba? That's a violation of human rights. That's definitely discrimination. A prior conviction cannot be used as a qualification. Dati ka namang nahuli, diba? Diba dati kang nahuli, dati kang nagkaroon ng kaso sa droga. So, automatically, doon ka na sa criminals. Hindi naman pwedeng gawin yan. Ang resulta niyan, we become oppressive. Totalitarian system. Nagiging oppressive yung ating batas. Ano naman yung solution number 2? Ito, high degree of protection for the people but result to fewer personal rights. Ito yung nangyayari ngayon, di ba? During enhanced community quarantine, especially in Manila. Ang dami nare-reklamo kasi hindi na makakalabas ng bahay. Nagpo-protesta pa. That is actually based on the Roman philosophy. Salus populi est supreme lex. Ibig sabihin, the safety of the people is the supreme law. In state of emergency, just like pandemic or just like attack of the enemy, mayroong mga restriction na gagawin ang ating batas. Ang ating government. So, mayroon tayong mga curfew in medical aspect. Sa pandemic, mayroon tayong mga quarantine. So, ang result niyan, hindi siya conducive sa democratic society. Kaya, meron tayo talagang mga tao na nalireklamo because we are democratic society. But, because of this particular restriction, yung travel natin restricted, kaya nagre-reklamo yung mga tao because according to them, that is a violation to the right to travel. Tama naman yun. So, saan ba tayo talaga? So, itong dalawang, think about these two alternatives, guys. Should we become oppressive or should we use the safety of the people is the supreme law? But then again, and yet, you are still expected to respect the constitutional rights of all to liberty, equality, and justice.